Should Declan Rice leave West Ham United this summer? Who is the best player to replace him? Well, unfortunately for me, my knowledge is the Premier League. I'm alright with the Championship and the Bundesliga. I watch a smidgen of Dutch football and obviously Scottish football, but we're not going to find a replacement there. So my knowledge, my replacement ideas, well, there's not that many of them, to be honest with you. So I reached out to Euro Expert, and the name gives away a little bit. He watches a lot of European football. So I said, excuse me, Alex, could you give me who you think is the best replacement for Declan Rice? West Ham sell Rice this summer. Who should we be going to get? I was expecting a 2-minute clip that I was going to put into a video and build a video out of it. Instead, he's provided me with a 13-minute breakdown of exactly who West Ham should be going to get to replace Declan Rice. So first of all, thank you very much to him, because I wasn't expecting this much from him. And next up you're going to see Alex, and I'll catch up with you at the end of the video.
How can West Ham replace Declan Rice? Hello, the Hammers Chat. Now, I am Alex, I go by the name Euro Expert, and you've probably, hopefully, seen me on the Hammers Chat Patreon. And today, I have been kindly invited onto the channel to discuss who is the perfect Declan Rice replacement. Now, despite the shirt I am repping, I'm not a West Ham fan, but that doesn't make me unqualified for this task. I spend my time watching European football, which comes in handy because today we're going to talk about replacing Rice with a good talent, because Rice isn't a middling player, he's not even just a good player. He's a world-class talent who should be joining a team that's regularly in the Champions League, or Chelsea. Getting a replacement will be difficult, and I can't just name some young players who aren't up to the task. They may well be the next Declan Rice, but if he leads, we need someone to replace him now. Now, Rice obviously plays in midfield for West Ham, and it's recently been alongside Thomas Souček and Lucas Paqueta. And while Moyes, struggled at the start of the season to get all of this working, recently he has found an interesting way of playing. When West Ham are in build-up, we see Souček stay quite high, the wingers stay wide, and Lucas Paqueta and Declan Rice come in to drop deep, because these two are really good in build-up. These players receive the ball, look to progress it forward, and Souček helps go up. And then when West Ham are defending, we see Lucas Paqueta kind of join Antonio up front, and West Ham retreat into a 4-4-2 block with Souček alongside Rice, which means usually these two players are in a bit of a flux, and it means that Rice is often our defensive player. West Ham may have finished low in the Premier League this season, but it's worth reiterating exactly what went wrong. It's kind of tailed off a bit recently, but the defence has actually been generally solid under Moyes. It's just in goal scoring they've kind of lacked. Either way, the picture is that West Ham are one of the least ball dominant teams in all of Europe, which means their players' statistical measures are kind of damaged because West Ham have some of the fewest ball touches per 90, which means their shots, their passes per player are all going to be down. I'm laying this out because it makes Declan Rice look even better. He's around 30th in the Premier League for progressive passes per 90. If you adjusted his stats for possession, I think you would see him climb maybe into the top 10. He's essentially very good at breaking the lines from deep with his passing. And what he actually ranks better at compared to those in Europe in midfield, generally around the top 20%, is his ball carrying. And I think these stats are a nice indicator of how Declan Rice has changed over the years. When he first broke through, as you can see from his stats and his heat map, he was a ball winner, a ball winning midfielder looking to just hold the fort. And as he has grown, as he has developed under David Moyes, he's become much more of the complete package. Defensive work is only a third of what he provides. So can you even replace him? As we've kind of outlined, Rice is not only, just doing the defending when these two go forward, but when West Ham are, pushing forward against the defence, they've got many players there, they've got Paqueta up, they've got Souček up, etc, etc. Rice has the ability to take it from deep and go into generally open space, but also beat a man. So he's able to contribute in the final third, as well as be such a good reader of the game. He ranks so high for interceptions per 90. It means everyone else can attack knowing that he will most likely mop up. And the problem here is, if you're just trying to replace him like for like, Rice, as we've said, is great at defending, but also he's good in build-up, so our player needs to be good in build-up as well. And it means they're going to have to be good in the first and second phase. That means taking the ball from deep and also helping it go to the better players. If you just get even an okay player at that, then you're going to run into issues, because Souček is not being used, as we said, in this build-up phase, he is not receiving the ball at all. We've seen what happens when he receives the ball here, like against Crystal Palace. He's just not good under pressure, which means that our player, like I said, needs to be very good taking the ball in here and forward. Now, I have made a shorter video examining if there were players who West Ham could replace Rice with like for like on my own personal channel. But here you're getting the perfect premium content, as I have got a more specific solution here to replace Declan Rice and keep West Ham charging forward. Still, if you want to hear a pitch about Sofyan Amrabat, go to the Euro Expert channel. But for now, I think West Ham can sign 2 players together to rework this midfield. It may not be a super Moisey thing, as you know, Souček is one of his favourite players, and if we relegate him to the bench, if we bring in 2 midfielders, might not go down well, but replacing Declan Rice here, sacrifices will have to be made. It's also worth saying that the 2 players here are ones I think you could have a go at replacing Declan Rice like for like and just tweak other bits of the team. So let's start with my lesser known player, Valentin Rongier. Now, for those who don't know the 28-year-old Frenchman, he's been captaining Marseille of late into a 3rd spot in Ligue 1, which is Champions League qualifying football. He's had a bit of a wild history at club level as well. So this season, he's played more as a right central midfielder in Marseille's system, which does tend to change quite often. It's a back 3. He's kind of in midfield, and you know, you've got a bit more of a front 3 there. And he's much more of a bona fide central midfielder. Last year, though, under Jorge Sampaoli, manager, you know, some of you may know, he was more of a inverting wing back or inverting fullback. So on paper, Marseille would be like a 4-2-3-1 kind of thing. But what would be happening more in practice is, I think it'd be more like Guendouzi as one of the defensive midfielders. He would push further forward, and then Rongier would invert into midfield. It was a very thankless task, but he did it to a very good standard. And then you can go back even further. We're talking 2019-20 to 2021. Rongier was part of a more of an interesting one. Under Andre Villas-Boas, he was in a clear 4-3-3 system that was really structured. Rongier was more of the box-to-box midfielder, pushing further up and down for Marseille. Off the pitch, though, he has commanded significant respect. Igor Tudor, the current manager, who I don't think I actually named, anyway, he sees Rongier as a robot. He says the guy gives him everything. He's also got a modest backstory and is at Marseille through and through, which I know has caused issues for a previous West Ham player. But Rongier was wanted by arch rivals Lyon when he was coming through at Nantes, and that was back when he was 20 years old. He was staying with his parents and he was kind of staying in. He was doing a lot of studying, I think, at university. He was studying philosophy, studying about Karl Marx. He's a very well-educated guy. Also mentioned by the interview with SoFoot in 2015, he idolises Luka Modric. He's got good character, and at 28 years old, he may seem a little old for this West Ham side. I know there's a bit of a fear at the moment about bringing players into for David Moyes, and it's making the team older. That's something raised by Jack Elderton, who coincidentally helped out with this video. But as I said, Rice is giving a lot to the team, and Rongier's defensive work can come in and help replace the gap Rice is leaving in the medium term. I mean, no one at Marseille has completed more tackles and interceptions per 90 this season, and no one's, I think only one player in fact is completing more in the middle third of the pitch. Which is an area, you know, he'll have to be very active. He's versatile, he's well educated, he's a leader, but of course he's not Declan Rice. Which is why I am proposing 2 players to come in here and kind of play together. So, as well as dedicated about £30 million, I'd say, to get Rongier in from Marseille, I am also suggesting that West Ham take Dani Ceballos in on a free transfer. Now, you may be shocked to learn that Dani Ceballos is 26 years old, only 26, and he turns 27 in August of this year. And for Real Madrid, he's been very impressive. But of course, let's start with what happened at Arsenal. I should say as well that the stuff on Arsenal was mainly educated by Total Football Analysis. Hopefully I can flash an article up on screen, and current BOP on Twitter. But Ceballos came into an Arsenal side that were having issues with Mesut Ozil, I believe, at the time. They're playing 4-2-3-1. And Ceballos was meant to be the guy between the lines, helping get forward and add a bit of creativity. And while he's a very good passer in the final third, what Ceballos appeared to do more was kind of drop deep and try and pick the ball up deeper, which meant that Arsenal kind of had this big gap between their lines, and it was frustrating them under Unai Emery. He was a bit more structured though under Mikel Arteta, if I remember correctly as well, but this was one of the larger issues. Another issue, you can look at the second leg against Benfica in the Europa League, I think the 2021 campaign. Defensively, he could be a little switched off at times. He essentially receives the ball here on a header and let it glance over his head. But at Real Madrid, he's kind of filled in everywhere. This season, and he's gained a lot more respect. Obviously, he's not always going to play over Tchouaméni, Kroos, Modric, Camavinga, but he has played about 17.9 90s, started around that many games as well. He has been helpful in the midfield, helpful at passing between the lines as well. Now with Ceballos, I'm really targeting the passing aspect here. Rongier does rank well in this stat, but it's where Ceballos shines, especially with Ceballos. While he does give good defensive work, you know, I think Rongier can take that burden away. I also think it'll be crucial because replacing Declan Rice's defensive work, at the end of the day, you can sort of tweak it to an extent. You can get other players to cover for what Rice was able to do. Tactics can sort of cover it, but there is a ceiling for how far you can go to replicate the type of build-up Rice could do, whether that was carrying the ball through lines in the final third or breaking lines with a good pass. At the end of the day, you will need just someone good at that. Ceballos not only sits second in the Real Madrid squad, second for passing to the final third and progressive passes per 90. He also sits third for through balls, which really emphasises how good he's breaking the lines. He's been well respected and well used at one of the best teams in the world, and he's available on a free transfer. That's despite Real Madrid, from reading a few articles from Spanish press, in January, after good performances from Ceballos, trying to U-turn on their stance of selling him and thinking maybe we could keep him, especially since Carlo Ancelotti's quite publicly a fan of keeping Ceballos. The problem is, especially if they sign Bellingham, that midfield is stacked, and Ceballos is good enough to play first-team football at another club. So, how could West Ham look now? Now, apologies if some of the players here are wrong. I'm just going off the players who are currently, as it stands, their contracts are expiring, so I think West Ham are going to need to target left back and right back unless they're ready to fully promote Ben Johnson. But as I said, we ran through the West Ham midfield before, but let's say we have Ceballos in on the left hand side. Then we have Rongier on the right hand side. Now, both of these players are kind of similar, as I said, but Rongier is a bit more geared towards defensive work. That's why he was able to fill in at right back, which, judging by this, could be quite handy. He'll be able to sit back a little more, while Ceballos can come deep, help Aguerd and Zuma build up under pressure from opposition, as he's pretty good in the first phase and good at dictating play, and help build it out. Rongier should be able to fill a similar sort of role, but where it will go really nicely is that Paqueta, even though he's not a number 10, this midfield should be a bit more fluid. It was been good recently with Souček and Paqueta rotating, but Paqueta is obviously a bit better than these two guys in the final third. But having this just sort of helps them kind of rotate around. Rongier is the only one who you can't really see operating as a number 10. Ceballos sort of can, or at least push forward a bit. So it just makes West Ham a lot more fluid in this central area, and it means they'll be able to have better link up as well between Ceballos and Paqueta. It's just getting Souček out of the team, while it's not helpful for the way Moyes plays, it's very good for the ball on the ground. It means West Ham might have to come a bit more ball dominant, and I'm not sure how David Moyes feels about that. I know some fans want it, but at the end of the day, I think from here you're getting Rice's passing to break the lines. You're also getting the defensive work, and well, it's not perfect because Declan Rice is kind of irreplaceable unless you've got all the money in the world, and West Ham do not. I think this goes some way to addressing the issues. Thanks for watching, everyone. Do not forget to subscribe. Please check me out. And if you absolutely despise this video and never want to see me on the channel again, let us know down below. So that way it's a clear message. But alternatively, if you do have some kind words to say, I would also be happy to hear that. And I'll be in the comments to debate and discuss any other potential targets. I know everyone's got their own plan with this, but maybe at least this video has inspired you to come up with a new idea and helped, contribute to the discussion. Anyway, it was a pleasure. I'll see ya next time.
And there you go, there's EuroExpert's 2 suggestions to replace Declan Rice this summer. But please, can you do me a favour and show Alex a little bit of love? Because like I said, I asked for a clip, and I got a 30-minute detailed breakdown with a load of graphics flying all over the place. He's putting me to shame here, EuroExpert is. But you can do that by following him on his social media if you don't already. I'll put all the links in the description and the pinned comments. But you can also drop a like on this video by clicking the thumbs up. And as Euro Expert said, he'll be back to interact with you. So get your suggestions in the comments as well. Anyway, tomorrow, I'll be back tomorrow, but it won't be anywhere near as detailed or as good as what you've just seen from the Euro Expert. I'll catch you then.